Welcome back to another episode of the Canon on the Boomer Bus channel. I'm your host Terry, and today talking about Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm so wired to say Captain America and the Winter Soldier now, but I'm gonna talk about my kind of thoughts about the series in a little bit, but I want to talk about one specific part that I think was a good narrative. Or I would say that was affected by the overall narrative of the whole series, but it really came to a head in the finale. And so I know I'm a little late and I meant to do this a while ago, but things got busy. But I watched the finale, which I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the series overall, but I couldn't help but wonder, like, towards the end, once they saved the senators or the politicians, whoever they were, and it was basically like, okay, we killed all the Flag Smashers, or what was it, Carly? Or I believe it was Carly. Like, she died and everything, and it was kind of this point like, yeah, we got the bad guys, thank you. And at first, I was like, you know what? That's a really problematic statement. That's kind of a racist statement, in the sense that it's the same sentiment that's been used in real life to kind of quell a lot of the social unrest, and that, again, you're shutting down these people because they're doing methods that you might not agree with, but you're not really focusing on the why they're going to these lengths to do things, rather than just labeling them as whatever and discarding it as an individual problem. You're not looking at the bigger issue that caused not only them to do that, but for people to agree with their cause. And so I thought for a moment they were going to just write the Flag Smashers off as bad guys. With the senators like, oh, those terrorists, you did the job. Thank God that they're gone. And just leave it at that. And I was like, that would be a very racist statement, because again, you are pretty much saying that their cause didn't matter. What they're talking about didn't matter. It's just they were extremists, and so we get to dismiss everything. Now, obviously, again, we're talking about a fictional story, and we're talking about some extreme behavior as far as murder and whatnot, but the sentiment is the same. It's the same thing you see with any of the protests that a lot of times are peaceful but turn into riots, the looting and everything. It's like, well, I don't agree with those methods, so we get to dismiss everything. And I was like, man, that's a problematic statement. And then the show and the MCU, they did something that surprised me, probably surprised a lot of people. I know some people didn't like it, but they had Sam really directly address not only that concept, but a lot of other concepts that are happening in today's world. As we said, Isaiah, I didn't say it because I didn't record each episode, but Isaiah back early in the season saying, or not, I don't think it was early in the season, but like last episode, he was like, they'll never let a black man be Captain America. It was like very head on to what they were kind of tippy-toeing around with this whole series. And then it was like, wow, I didn't think they would do that. And then I definitely didn't think they would have Sam come out there and say the stuff that he did, but it was great that he did, because they set up a scenario where they could have easily made a problematic statement, but then they went the other way. He said that, yes, she was misguided, and yes, she did things she wasn't supposed to, but y'all need to ask yourself what drove her to this point. Y'all need to ask yourself what drove people to this movement. What are y'all doing that's causing people to feel like this is the only way they can respond? And that's exactly one of the messages that in conversations we're trying to have about today's unrest, where people want to talk about, oh, but you looted. Oh, you stole some. Oh, you damaged property. And it's like, oh, you're disqualified. We don't care about what you're talking about. That's not the important part. Like, the important part is not the means, but it's the motivation behind it. And so I thought that was really impactful to have a show like a MCU show to talk about that, which is very real world. And I think I give credit to Kevin Feige, which to me, I think again, people give him so much credit for everything, but at the end of the day, he does approve of it, and he could have made an easy mistake. But I believe that is a result of having the right people in the room with diverse mindsets and understand what's going on, rather than telling this from just a white male perspective. And so I appreciated that they didn't go for that trap, and they actually did something that was more impactful and nuanced. Overall, I really enjoyed the season. Like I said, they touched on, like, they tippy-toed around so much before the series. And then even the first few episodes, they really tippy-toed around this idea of the race being a part of it. Like, it was very much, okay. It was very much presented as, okay, Sam thinking about being Captain America, but not really committing. And then Bucky, and we didn't know what he played in. Like, did he want to be Captain America? And then this new fake Captain America. So we didn't really know what the aim of the show was. And then we started to see early on this idea about how the blip affected the world, and how I hate that, the blip, it's a snapping, but how that affected the world, and how people coming back affected the world, and how superheroes are in their off time, especially if you're not billionaire Tony Stark. Like, okay, that was cool, this whole idea of Captain America, but then it quickly turned into this idea of power and this idea of politics and marginalization and oppression. And it was really good. I don't think they went deep into it, but they definitely went deeper than I thought they would have with an MCU show. So I really appreciate it. I think I liked, I don't know. I think I liked this more than WandaVision by a little bit. WandaVision, even though you didn't know what was going on, it was a mystery, you knew what it was. It was this show about Wanda and her grief and all that. And there was twists and turns, but for the most part, you knew what it was. With this, it was more so, again, we didn't know a whole lot, and it wasn't necessarily a mystery, but it was like, okay, what is the aim of this show? What is this show trying to say? And then I think going along that journey was really fun. I wasn't anticipating each week like I was a WandaVision, but I enjoyed every week, and I really was excited to watch it. And so on that level, I think I liked it because I liked it a little more than WandaVision because the message was of more substance, I think. And it really like told you what it wanted to say. And I liked a lot of the connective pieces, bringing in Dora Milaje because of Zemo, and all that. Even bringing Zemo back and Sharon Carter and all that. So I like those little moments. I like the action. The one thing that I think that was really off was the comedic chemistry between Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie. That was like, if you didn't watch the behind the scenes interviews and press tours, you didn't know that they had a really good rapport before this. Like, yes, we know they had like the love-hate thing on screen, but they are jokesters, they're friends off the set. And so I was really looking forward to seeing a whole series where that can shine through. And at moments, I think it did, but a lot of times I just felt like the comedy was in awkward places. And the MCU has done this before, in my opinion, with movies where it's like, okay, we're having a good moment. We don't need a joke. It almost feels like it's a mandate. Like every so often there has to be a joke in there. And so, like even when he was in the commercial, when we saw him talking crap to Bucky hanging, under that truck, like that little girl, you know, kicked or whatever. And I'm like, even then I'm like, okay, that just seems like a weird time to do it. But then you watch the scene and they was just beating Bucky and Falcon. And so I'm like, yeah, this is definitely a weird time to do it. I don't know. Sometimes the comedy was just in weird places, but, I I thought that would be a little better, a little more cohesive, but it really wasn't. It was a little disjointed to me. They had a good relationship, I think, a good back and forth, but I didn't think the comedy landed in the right spots. And then John Walker, his whole arc, I really appreciate. I didn't think I would care. I mean, I didn't know too much about him, but I didn't think I would care early on. But they did sow the seeds early that, hey, he's trying to do the right thing. And while I don't think Lamar had to die, still, I do enjoy kind of the arc they went. Even though I will say that from the moment the ending scene where he kills the guy in front of everybody to the end of the series, it did not go in the tone or direction that I thought, because they set it up like this was some really like pivotal shift, and it really wasn't. Like, they caught him, they fought, and then they like pretty much said, you're done, but we're not going to throw you in jail because of your service prior to this. And that was kind of it. Now we back with Sam with the shield training to be Captain America and on with the day. I don't know. I just thought it was going to be a lot more fallout and consequence from that, and it really wasn't. And so I think this show, they could have had some more episodes. I think a lot of people said that, and I agree, because the first episode, you spend the whole time giving us like the outside life of Bucky and Sam. And I don't think we ever really paid it off as much as we could. Now, we came back to Sam a lot more and we saw some of that, but I still think there was more they could have did there. And then Bucky, you don't see anything to the end where he apologized or he tells the old man about his son. And that was really quick. And I just feel like we could have had more space for that to breathe. And what I really would have wanted was more space for this Flag Smasher story to breathe, because we just really heard a lot about the stuff they were fighting for. We didn't really get to see it. I think really having some moments for Sam and Bucky to see the devastation being happening because of all the people coming back, or seeing what the GRC relocation camps and all that is doing, to really get a feel. Like, we had a quick little taste when I forgot where they were, but we didn't even really know what that was. Like, if they really could show us what around the world was looking like and why the Flag Smashers were on the path they were, I think it would have been a little stronger too. So there's that. But overall, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I think it was just a solid project, and I'm glad they made the choices they did to speak on the things they did. So that's it for me. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Share it around. Get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. And remember, if you heard it here, it's official Canon.